Hi guys, Andrea Caprio here. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. I'm trying out a new thing, and of course, the technical things were not going the way I wanted, but I think I'm here. So if you see me, hear me, or so, just say hello so I know I'm online. Welcome here. Today, I want, like every week, I want to bring up a couple of things that came up during the week basically, or maybe during some time or so when I was working with my clients. And I like actually to share with you here the tips I'm normally giving to my clients or the things I'm coaching them on. And what came up this week with one of my clients was really the cravings for sugary treats, right? And I feel it, so many people have really this big cravings for sugary things. Some people more for salty, some more for sugary, but today I want specifically talk about sugary treats that you're craving. So I would love to know who is constantly or often craving sugary treats. Let me know in the comments if that is you. I would love to know, and obviously I will be happy to help you. And maybe you can say what it is, even what kind of treats you're craving, what sugar you're craving, what is your treat or so that you're often wanting. And today I want to share a couple of tips that help me and help my clients as well, of course, to overcome those cravings. So first of all, let's speak about the one thing that is really important is to start super slowly. Now, oops, that is my reminder for my Facebook Live video, right? So if you have been eating a lot of sugary treats, you certainly don't want to start kind of cold turkey, go all in. I mean, you can, of course, it's up to you, but very often I see that with people, that's then what they fail actually, right? Because it's just too much, right? So a good idea is to start really slow. So first of all, I recommend to cut down on wherever you're at, right? If you're eating morning, lunch, evening, whatever, sugary treats, then you look at that, obviously, and if it's just, maybe one time per day or so, then you would look at that. So maybe you can start just, let's say you eat the whole bar of chocolate. So you can say, instead of eating the whole bar of chocolate, you're only eating one piece or four pieces or whatever it is, right? So you kind of cut down. Instead of maybe cutting out chocolate completely, you could eventually replace just a little bit of the chocolate with something else, right? Or if you're eating big amounts of cupcakes for breakfast, for lunch, for snacks, and for dinner, right? You can choose that you only cut them out at one meal. And then you try to implement that over some time, and then obviously you increase the whatever the frequency, the quality, the quantity, whatever it is you want to increase there, and go there. Like this, it's much easier. I read a very interesting book at the moment. I'm very much into habits, right? It's called Tiny Habits, in case you're interested. And there, the big thing is really about starting very small, right? So if you want to implement a new technique or so, exercise or new thing, you the tiniest thing you can. So of course, when you want to cut down with something, also you cut down just by small little amounts. You make it work, and then you increase whatever, or decrease rather, in that case, right? So that's the first thing. The other thing, what is really important, is that you want to use sugar alternatives if you want sugar in your food, right? To be honest, I like sugar, right? I don't eat a lot of sugar. I've been eating a lot of sugar. That's one of the reasons that made me become a nutrition coach. But I still like certain things rather a little bit sweeter, right? So for example, for me, my coffee, I just can't do coffee without sugar. I tried, it's just not the pleasure. And for me, the coffee, which by the way, I don't drink all the time, but when I drink it, I really like the sugar in. And I like also milk, and I don't use normal milk, so I use almond milk for that. I make it actually like a cappuccino. And instead of using sugar, I have my alternatives, and I will share that with you, because that's definitely one of the biggest things. And some of those sugar alternatives are even that healthy that, for example, if you're diabetic, you could have some of them, right? And of course, that you should always see with your doctor, by the way. It's not me who tells you, but some of them, they don't spike your blood sugar. For example, stevia is such an alternative. I love stevia and using stevia. I cannot use it, by the way, in coffee. I just don't like the taste in coffee of stevia. But in tea, it works for me. In baking, cooking, whatever, sweetening something a little bit definitely works with me. And then the other thing where I use, then in my coffee, I use coconut sugar or xylitol, which really works well. Xylitol, just a word of warning, don't have too much, otherwise you end up in the bathroom. And another good alternative is monk fruit or lucuma, and you can use dates, for example, in your baking. Really, really great to add dates to baking. So these are a couple of ideas that you could use instead. Be mindful, don't overdo it either, right? But definitely. I often get the question, is honey healthy or is cane sugar better or whatever? Nope, they are not. Sorry to say, honey I do have from time to time, and I would recommend it from time to time. Tiny amounts, like for example, when I get a cold, I have honey. I just believe honey is a healer, but it must be honey obviously of excellent quality. So, it's, organic, coming from a reliable source, making sure it's from the farm, because a lot of honey is imported from China, and that has nothing to do with honey, what's in there. Just a little word of warning. And also there are other things like maple syrup. Maple syrup is a thing. Some say it's okay, some not. I would say if you have a little bit of maple syrup, it's okay. Always use grade B maple syrup is much better than grade A, interestingly. So these are the options I would recommend, right? And maybe you have some options or some questions in the comments. Feel free, please, to ask them, even if you're watching the replay. Another good idea, if you are constantly craving some sweets or some sugary treats, is maybe use a sugar-free gum. Now, a chewing gum or gum, I would only recommend any gum that is either sweetened with stevia or with xylitol. And xylitol is, by the way, very good for your teeth. Right? So xylitol is good, but just make sure that it's not sweetened with sugar or any artificial sweeteners, because the artificial sweeteners are probably more dangerous than sugar. Not that I recommend sugar, but I definitely do not recommend artificial sweeteners at all. Never. Point. If you want to know more about it, it's another conversation. Right, and then one really, really good idea there as well is to eat, instead of having desserts or so, or some, sweets or so, just eat fruits as dessert. I had one client recently, she was eating a lot of sweet stuff, and she had as snacks fruits. And she eventually decided to have her fruits as dessert. And she doesn't crave anymore any desserts or other desserts than that. And she's not having additional fruits as snacks. She's having a little bit more like salty things, right? So that's a great thing. I was so proud of her, actually. It's one of my group coaching clients, actually, who had that. So that's really, really good. And then also really a good idea is sometimes to add some other tastes. For example, fennel is really good. So biting on fennel seed might be something that does the trick. For some, it might be even cinnamon or, some other kind of spices that can do the trick, and that might be helpful for you. I really recommend another thing that I find very important, to make sure that you have a balanced food, right? So very important is, and I have written that, by the way, there's a blog post here. There's the link somewhere in the description. So if you're interested to read a little bit more about it, I have written a blog post with my team for you to read a little bit more how to overcome your sugar cravings. So check it out. The link is in the description. And in there's also a link to another blog post where I spoke a little bit more about eating balanced and how important. I just want to add that here so you have it. It's really important. What I always say, most people's diet is too high in carbohydrates and sugary things. And remember, the body sees carbohydrates as sugar because they break down into glucose, right? Now, if you have too much of that, your body will crave more sugar, right? So cutting down on carbohydrates in general, if there are a lot of starchy and sugary things, are important. Remember, go step by step and slowly. And then introducing and including more protein, healthy protein that is, and fiber, so in the form of vegetables, starchy vegetables, beans and things like that, is really helpful, and a little bit of healthy fat, not too much but a little bit. That is really helpful for you to overcome your cravings. I actually realized that my microphone was a little bit far away. Sorry, I hope you heard me. If not, I have to do the re-recording. Right, so I would love to know if there are any questions here from you about my about the cravings, or so you are having the sugar cravings. And if you would like to find out more, then remember, there is in the description there is my blog post. And of course, if you have any questions or so, just type them in the comments and I'm happy to get back to you. If you need any help, if you want, you're really struggling with cravings or so, I would love to get with you on a call. Just, again, in the comment, or send me a private message or so, and then I can organize all that. My name is Andrea Caprio. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.